We have received a disturbingly credible insider theory regarding the sudden catastrophe at Roloff Farms. And if these reports are true, this isn't just bad luck. This is a calculated demolition of Matt Roloff's legacy from the inside out. We are tracking a developing story that suggests the disastrous pumpkin season was not caused by a drought, not caused by a heat wave, and certainly not caused by simple mismanagement. New exclusive information points to a deliberate act of sabotage orchestrated by a planted operative within the farm's payroll. We are talking about an inside man scenario that is so devious, so personal, and so financially devastating that it changes everything we thought we knew about the power dynamics in Arizona. Tonight, we are blowing the lid off the crop sabotage theory. Sources are whispering that the new farm manager, the man responsible for the irrigation, the man Matt trusted, might not be a stranger at all. We have uncovered connections that link this individual directly to Caryn Chandler's inner circle. Was this a setup? Was the destruction of the pumpkin patch a manufactured crisis designed to force Matt's hand, break his spirit, and push him into a final, irreversible sale of the land? The evidence is mounting, and the footage that is allegedly circulating behind the scenes paints a picture of betrayal that is almost too dark to believe. Welcome back to LPBW Update, where we dig deeper than anyone else. You need to hear this before the mainstream media catches up. Let's look at the facts on the ground right now. We are weeks away from the most critical time of the year for Roloff Farms, pumpkin season. This is the financial lifeblood of the property. For decades, this season has been the guarantee, the safety net, the one thing that keeps the farm viable. But right now, according to reports coming out of Helvetia, the fields are a graveyard. The pumpkins are rotting on the vine. The vines themselves are withered, brittle, and dying at a rate that defies agricultural explanation. Matt Roloff has gone on record blaming the weather. He's talking about unseasonal dryness. He's talking about soil issues. He's giving us the standard corporate line. But we aren't buying it, and neither are some of the people closest to the situation. When you look at the neighboring farms, are they suffering a total crop collapse? No. This is localized destruction. This is happening specifically on the acres that Matt Roloff is desperate to keep profitable. And conveniently, who benefits if the farm fails? Who has been pushing for a full retirement in Arizona for years? Who has been whispering in Matt's ear that the farm is too much work, too much stress, and a financial black hole? Enter the new variable. We have learned that there is a new farm manager on the property. Let's call him Kyle for the sake of this report, though we are working to verify his legal identity. This individual was hired quickly, quietly, and purportedly on the glowing recommendation of Caryn Chandler. Matt, tired and looking for an easy solution, handed the keys to the kingdom, specifically the irrigation and crop management, over to this new hire. And almost immediately, the water systems began to fail. We are hearing reports of valves being left shut during critical heat windows. We are hearing about irrigation lines that were mysteriously severed, blamed on coyotes or farm equipment, but looking suspiciously like clean cuts. This isn't incompetence. Incompetence is forgetting to turn a valve once. This is a pattern of neglect so precise it feels targeted. And the timing is impeccable. If the pumpkins fail, the revenue disappears. If the revenue disappears, Matt's argument for keeping the land evaporates. He ostensibly claims he wants to pass it down or keep it running, but without the pumpkin money, the farm is just a massive liability. Here is where the theory gets dark. Our investigation into Kyle has flagged some massive red flags. We are looking into social media archives, old tagged photos, and deep web connections, and what we are finding is shocking. This Kyle isn't just a random hire from a job posting. We have found images that appear to show this individual at a private gathering in Arizona, at Caryn's residence, long before he was ever hired at Roloff Farms. We are talking about a potential relative, a nephew, or a close associate of the Chandler family. If this link is authenticated, it proves that Caryn didn't just recommend a manager, she installed an operative. Think about the level of manipulation required here. She knows Matt is stubborn. She knows he won't sell the farm unless he feels he has no other choice. She can't just ask him to sell, she has to make him fail. She has to make the burden of the farm so heavy, so heartbreaking, and so financially ruinous that he begs to sell it just to stop the bleeding. And how do you do that? You kill the pumpkins. You starve the cash cow. We are receiving reports that Amy Roloff was the first to sense something was wrong. Sources close to the production suggest that Amy, during a routine visit to the property, noticed the soil conditions were inconsistent with a simple drought. She knows this land better than anyone. She farmed it alongside Matt for 30 years. When she saw the withered vines, she allegedly went to check the irrigation headers herself. What she found wasn't a mechanical failure. It was a system that had been manually overridden. The water wasn't broken, it was turned off. When she confronted this new manager, Kyle, witnesses described his behavior as erratic, defensive, and visibly nervous. He couldn't answer basic questions about the watering schedule. He didn't know the pressure metrics. He deflected, blamed the equipment, and tried to rush Amy off the site. Amy isn't stupid. She knows a liar when she sees one, and her intuition triggered a chain reaction that is now threatening to expose this entire plot. This is the narrative that is being suppressed. The official story is that farming is hard and nature is cruel. But the exclusive theory we are tracking is that this is a domestic conspiracy fueled by greed and the desire for a simplified life in Arizona. Matt is walking around looking defeated, telling the cameras, "We might have to cancel the season." He looks broken. He looks like a man who has finally been beaten by the elements. But he doesn't realize the elements aren't fighting him. His own inner circle is. He is being gaslit into believing that he has lost his touch, that he can't manage the land anymore, when in reality, the game was rigged from the start. We are hearing that Marek, skeptical of this new manager's flimsy backstory, has started doing his own digging. Chris, with his background in real estate and his sharp eye for inconsistencies, allegedly pulled a background check that Matt was too trusting to run. And what Chris is finding could blow the entire family dynamic apart. We need to talk about motivation here. Why would Caryn go this far? Why risk everything to sabotage the crops? The answer is usually money and control. As long as the farm is operational, Matt is tied to Oregon. He is tied to his past, he is tied to Amy, and he is tied to the physical labor that is destroying his body. Caryn has made it clear she wants the Arizona lifestyle, full-time, no strings attached. The farm is the anchor holding them back. By destroying the season, she isn't just killing pumpkins, she is severing the chain. She is manufacturing a business failure to justify a life transition. It is Machiavellian, it is brilliant, and it is absolutely diabolical. If Matt sells due to losses, it's not his fault. It saves his ego. He can say, "I tried, but the climate beat me." It gives him a graceful exit. But that exit is built on a lie. The tension on the farm is currently at a breaking point. We have insider reports that Amy and Chris are not letting this go. They are treating this like a crime scene. They aren't just looking at the dead crops, they are looking at the timeline. They are looking at the logs. They are watching Kyle. The suspicion is palpable. Amy reportedly told a friend, "This wasn't an accident. Someone is trying to kill this farm." That is a powerful statement. It shifts the narrative from agricultural tragedy to corporate espionage. And the saddest part is that Matt is the victim here. For all his faults, for all his stubbornness, he loves that farm. He pours his soul into it. To have it dismantled by the people he trusts, to have his passion project poisoned from the inside, is a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions. We are also hearing that the production crew is scrambling. They know something is up. The cameras are catching looks, whispers, and heated exchanges that don't make sense in the context of a simple bad harvest. They are capturing the unraveling of a conspiracy. We predict that the next few weeks are going to reveal indisputable proof. There are rumors of trail cameras being set up by Chris and Amy, hidden surveillance designed to catch the saboteur in the act. If they get footage of Kyle tampering with the water lines, or worse, dumping chemicals, it's game over. That isn't just drama. That is criminal property damage. That is actionable fraud. And if that thread pulls back to Caryn, If that connection is proven, it won't just end the engagement, it will end the show as we know it. This is the calm before the storm. The pumpkins are dying, Matt is grieving the loss of the season, and Caryn is playing the supportive partner, comforting him while allegedly holding the smoking gun. But the walls are closing in. Amy is on the warpath. Chris is digging up the digital paper trail, and the farm manager is sweating. We are now moving into the most explosive phase of this investigation, and what we are about to reveal changes the entire complexion of the Roloff Farms saga. If you thought the dying pumpkins were a tragedy, what comes next is a conspiracy. We left off with Amy Roloff sensing that something was fundamentally wrong with the new farm manager, Kyle, and Chris Marek quietly beginning his own background check. Well, sources tell us that Chris has struck gold, and the information he has uncovered is the smoking gun that connects the destruction of the pumpkin patch directly to the Chandler family tree. This is the connection phase of our report, and it is devastating. According to exclusive leaks, Chris Marek, utilizing his extensive network and real estate background, decided to bypass the standard employment records Matt Roloff had on file. He knew that if this Kyle was a plant, his official resume would be scrubbed. So, Chris went digital. He went deep into the archives of social media, looking for the one mistake that every operative eventually makes, a tagged photo. And he found it. We are hearing reports of a specific image, buried deep in a subfolder of a Facebook album from 3 years ago, posted by a distant relative of Caryn Chandler. The photo depicts a backyard barbecue in Arizona, Caryn's territory. In the background, clearly visible and holding a drink, is none other than Kyle, the man currently destroying Matt's livelihood in Oregon. But it gets worse. Standing right next to him, laughing, is Caryn herself. This photo is the undeniable proof that Kyle is not a random hire. He isn't a local agricultural expert Matt found on LinkedIn. He is a pre-existing associate, likely a nephew or a cousin, brought in specifically to finish the job that years of nagging couldn't accomplish. The timestamp on the photo predates his employment at Roloff Farms by over 2 years. This means the introduction was staged. The interview was a formality. Matt was playing. He was led to believe he was hiring a stranger, when in reality he was welcoming a Trojan horse into his business. This discovery changes everything for Amy. When Chris allegedly showed her this image, sources say her reaction wasn't just anger, it was vindication. She knew. She felt it in her gut. But seeing the proof, seeing the visual evidence of Caryn and the saboteur partying together in Arizona, crystallized the reality of the situation. They aren't just losing money, they are being hunted. Now, armed with this digital evidence, the dynamic shifts from suspicion to a tactical operation. Amy and Chris know they can't just go to Matt with a photo. Matt is under Caryn's spell. He will rationalize it. He will say, "Oh, I forgot she knew him," or "It's a coincidence." They need something undeniable. They need to catch Kyle in the act of physical sabotage. This leads us to the sting operation. We are receiving reports that Amy and Chris have quietly begun installing a network of high-definition trail cameras around the specific irrigation zones where the failures have been most catastrophic. These aren't the standard security cameras that Kyle knows about and avoids. These are hidden, motion-activated units, camouflaged in the brush, designed to capture license plates and nighttime activity. They are turning the pumpkin patch into a surveillance grid. The narrative we are tracking suggests that for 3 nights, the cameras captured nothing but stillness. The tension was agonizing. The pumpkins continued to wither, the heat continued to bake the soil, and Kyle continued to play the part of the stressed manager, wringing his hands and telling Matt, "I don't know why the water isn't holding." But then, on the 4th night, the trap sprung. We have descriptions of the footage that are chilling. At approximately 2 a.m., a figure enters the frame. It is pitch black, but the infrared night vision illuminates him clearly. It is Kyle. He isn't checking the lines. He isn't fixing a leak. He is carrying a canister, a container that does not belong in an irrigation shed. The footage allegedly shows him kneeling by the main distribution valve for the prize-winning pumpkins. the big pumpkins that are the centerpiece of the festival. He doesn't open the water, he opens the canister. Sources speculate he is pouring a concentrated desiccant or a saline solution directly into the feeder line, a chemical cocktail designed to mimic root rot and accelerate dehydration. This is precise, malicious destruction. He then creates a break in the line further down to make it look like a pressure burst, covering his tracks with a staged mechanical failure. He looks at the camera, or rather, past it, completely unaware that his career and his aunt's scheme are being recorded in 4K resolution. He wipes his hands, checks his phone, and walks away, leaving the crop to die. This footage is the nail in the coffin. It is the difference between a theory and a criminal act. Amy and Chris now possess the weapon that can sever Matt's relationship with Caryn forever. But they have to be careful. If they play this wrong, Caryn could spin it. She could claim Kyle went rogue. She could claim she had no idea. They need to lock down the narrative before they present it to Matt. They need to tie the act of sabotage directly to the motive, the Arizona retirement. The connection and the sting have converged. They have the who, Kyle, the nephew. They have the why, to force the sale. And now they have the how, the midnight chemical dump. The atmosphere at Roloff Farms is currently electric with suppressed rage. Amy is reportedly struggling to keep her composure when she sees Kyle during the day. She watches him lie to Matt's face, watches him shrug and apologize for the bad luck, knowing full well she has him on tape poisoning the ground. Chris is the strategist here. He is advising Amy to wait, to gather one more night of footage, to make the case airtight. They are building a dossier of destruction. They are documenting every withered vine, every lost dollar, and linking it back to that 2 a.m. visit. We are also hearing rumors that Kyle is getting sloppy. Perhaps he senses he is being watched, or perhaps he is just arrogant. Insider reports suggest he has been overheard on phone calls, loud, whispered arguments in the barn, talking to a woman. Phrases like, "It's taking too long," and "Matt is still holding on," have been picked up by crew members. Who is on the other end of that line? Logic dictates it is Caryn. She is the handler. She is the one pulling the strings from the comfort of the new house in Arizona, waiting for the news that the farm has finally collapsed. She is pushing Kyle to finish the job, unaware that the net is closing in on both of them. This deep dive investigation has revealed a level of toxicity that goes beyond reality TV drama. This is about a man's legacy being dismantled by the woman he plans to marry. It is about a family member, Amy, stepping up to save the ex-husband who pushed her aside because she refuses to let the farm die in disgrace. The sting was successful. The evidence is secured. The trail cam footage is safely downloaded to a hard drive that Chris keeps on his person. The only thing left to do is the confrontation. The victory phase is approaching, but it won't be a celebration. It will be a war. Matt Roloff is about to be blindsided by the truth, and the fallout will be nuclear. As we prepare for the final act of this report, ask yourself, how does Matt survive this? How does he look Caryn in the eye after seeing her own flesh and blood pouring poison into his water lines? He can't. This is the end of the road. The inside man has been caught, but the puppet master is still pulling the strings. We are moments away from the most explosive reveal in the history of the show. Amy and Chris are ready. The evidence is ready. The question is Matt ready to face the betrayal of a lifetime? This is the moment where the entire illusion shatters. We are now entering the final, most volatile chapter of this developing story, the victory and the immediate catastrophic fallout. We have the motive, a forced retirement to Arizona. We have the method, chemical sabotage and irrigation tampering. And thanks to the relentless surveillance work of Amy Roloff and Chris Marek, we have the evidence. The sting operation has yielded a smoking gun so radioactive that it threatens to not just end a season, but to dismantle the entire hierarchy of Roloff Farms. Sources tell us that the confrontation did not happen in a boardroom or a lawyer's office. It happened right there, on the dirt that Matt Roloff has spent a lifetime cultivating. and the explosion was audible from the road. This is the confrontation, and it is the turning point that fans have been waiting for. According to our insider reports, the morning after the trail cam captured Kyle dumping unknown chemicals into the pumpkin patch irrigation line, Amy and Chris made their move. They didn't wait for Caryn to arrive. They didn't wait for a production meeting. They caught Matt alone in the mule, inspecting the withered vines of the big pumpkins, looking more defeated than we have ever seen him. Witnesses described the scene as tense but quiet. Amy approached him not with anger, but with a grim solemnity. She allegedly said, "Matt, it isn't the weather. You need to see this." Chris, standing beside her, opened a laptop on the hood of the mule. The glare of the sun made it hard to see at first, but then the footage played. The timestamp, 2:14 a.m. The subject, Kyle. The action, pouring poison into the water supply. We are told Matt stared at the screen in total silence. At first, there was denial. He squinted, trying to make sense of the grainy infrared image. "Maybe he's adding fertilizer," he reportedly muttered, desperate to cling to the narrative that his new manager was competent. But Chris was ready. He played the second clip, the one where Kyle checks his phone, looks around furtively, and then manually shuts off the pressure valve, ensuring the chemicals would sit in the lines and burn the roots. There was no explaining that away. That was sabotage. That was malice. And then, the final blow. Chris pulled up the photo, the social media archive of the barbecue in Arizona. He zoomed in on Caryn's face, laughing, her arm around Kyle. He didn't have to say a word. The connection was undeniable. The woman Matt sleeps next to, the woman pushing for the Arizona move, had planted her own blood relative to destroy the farm's revenue stream. The transformation in Matt was instantaneous. The defeat vanished, replaced by a cold, white-hot fury. For years, Matt has been accused of being controlling, of being stubborn, but he has never been a fool. At that moment, the entire puzzle clicked into place. The constant pressure to sell, the comments about how hard farming is, the rapid hiring of Kyle. It wasn't concern for his well-being, it was a coordinated demolition of his life's work. Sources say Matt didn't yell, he didn't scream. He simply closed the laptop, looked at Amy, and nodded. It was an acknowledgement of a debt. She had saved him from total ruin. He turned the mule around and drove straight to the barn where Kyle was prepping the equipment for the day, or rather, pretending to. The confrontation that followed is the stuff of legend. We are hearing that the production crew, sensing the eruption, scrambled to get microphones in range but were waved off by Matt. This was personal. Matt reportedly pulled up to the barn, got out of the mule without his crutches, running on pure adrenaline, and confronted the farm manager. He didn't ask for an explanation. He didn't ask for a report. He allegedly held up the phone with the still image of the sabotage and said 2 words, "You're done." Kyle, realizing the game was up, tried to stammer out an excuse, tried to blame the old system, but Matt cut him off. He ordered him off the property immediately. "Don't pack your bag, don't go to the house, get in your truck and leave." It was a firing so brutal and so swift that it left the rest of the farmhands stunned. But the real drama isn't the firing of a pawn, it's the checkmate of the queen. Caryn was not on the property at the time. She was reportedly in Arizona, preparing the house for their upcoming trip. When Matt called her, insiders claimed the conversation was short. He didn't tell her about the footage immediately. He didn't tell her about the firing. He played it cool. He is waiting. This is the exclusive theory we are tracking. Matt is setting a trap of his own. By firing Kyle and saving the remaining pumpkins, he is ruining the plan. When Caryn returns, she will expect a broken man ready to sell. Instead, she is going to find a farm that is rallying. She is going to find Matt who knows exactly what she did. The betrayal here is profound. Caryn wasn't just trying to get him to retire, she was gaslighting him into believing he was a failure. With the inside man gone, the atmosphere on the farm shifted instantly. This is the rally. Amy Roloff, who has no financial stake in the pumpkin season anymore, but an immense emotional one, stepped up. She reportedly gathered the old crew, the veterans who have been there for decades and told them the truth. We have 3 weeks to save the season, and they went to work. They flushed the lines, they brought in emergency water tankers, they treated the soil. It was a montage of redemption. Amy, Chris, and Matt, united by a common enemy, working side by side to undo the damage. For the first time in years, the tension between Matt and Amy evaporated, replaced by the old rhythm of two people who built an empire together. They were fighting for the land. They were fighting for the legacy. And most importantly, they were fighting against the invisible hand of Caryn Chandler. The pumpkins, miraculously, began to respond. Not all of them. The damage to the big pumpkins was severe. But enough. The patch is greening up. The rot has stopped. The season is not going to be the disaster Caryn engineered it to be. It will be a struggle, but it will happen. Matt has announced that the festival is on. He has put out a press release stating that, despite unforeseen challenges, Roll-Off Farms will open its gates. That press release is a declaration of war. It is a signal to Arizona that he is not folding. He is staying. So where does this leave the relationship? This is the question burning through the fan base. If our theory holds, if the evidence of Caryn's involvement is as irrefutable as the photo suggests, how can they stay together? We predict a massive spin operation is coming. Caryn will likely claim she didn't know Kyle would go this far. She will claim he was a troubled relative she tried to help by giving him a job, and that his actions were his own. She will play the victim. She will cry. She will say she is devastated that her family caused Matt pain. But will Matt buy it? For the first time, we don't think so. The footage of the chemical dump is too deliberate. The coordination is too precise. You don't accidentally poison a pumpkin patch. You do it because you were told to. This brings us to the aftermath. We are looking at a potential breakup that could shatter the show's dynamic forever. If Matt cuts Caryn loose, the Arizona dream dies. The farm stays in the family. The sale is off the table. This sabotage plot, intended to speed up the end of Roll-Off Farms, may have actually saved it. It reminded Matt why he fights for it. It reminded him that his true allies are the people who have been there since the beginning, Amy and Chris, not the people whispering sweet nothings about retirement while handing knives to his enemies. The season finale is going to be explosive. We expect the producers to drag this out, to tease the confrontation with Caryn, but the reality is already written in the soil. The sabotage failed. The inside man is gone, and Matt Roloff is awake. The crop sabotage theory is no longer just a theory. It is the narrative engine of the entire year. We have exposed the plot, we have named the players, and we have shown you the stakes. Now, we watch the fallout. This story is far from over. As the pumpkins ripen and the festival gates open, the real drama will be happening behind closed doors. Will Matt press charges against Kyle for property damage? If he does, Kyle might flip. He might testify that he was acting on orders. And if that happens, if there is a legal deposition linking Caryn to the destruction of the farm, we are talking about a scandal that transcends reality TV. We are talking about corporate sabotage. We are talking about the end of an era. The evidence is in. The verdict is yours. Do you believe Caryn was the mastermind? Do you think Matt should evict her from his life along with her nephew? Or will she manage to manipulate her way back into his heart? The farm is safe for now, but the trust is gone forever. We need to hear from you. This is the most controversial theory we have ever broken, and the implications are massive. Look at the facts. The sudden arrival of a relative, the inexplicable crop failure, the photo, the footage. It all points to one conclusion: betrayal. So, here's the question of the day. Should Matt Roloff prosecute the farm manager and risk exposing Caryn's involvement, or should he bury the truth to save his relationship? Is it time for Matt to admit that Amy was right all along? Hit that like button if you think Caryn needs to be fired from the farm permanently. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because as soon as we get the audio of the confrontation between Matt and Caryn, we are dropping it right here. You do not want to miss the next update. This is LPBW Update, signing off. Watch your back, because on roll-off farms, the danger is coming from inside the house.